recovering addict. Next month I celebrate 7 years, and I'm going to tell just a little bit about my past, but more about what's going on now is my ideal of addictions. If I believe it's hereditary or not, I don't know. I didn't know my family. I know nothing about my background. I was raised in orphanages and foster homes, so I never had the chance to know anything about where I come from. But so my addiction started before I even started doing drugs, because I longed just to belong somewhere, and I longed just to have a family and have somebody love me. And I was probably 10, 11 years old when I first got high, and I thought I found it. Man, this is me. I don't feel the pain. And most of us addicts, that's what we get high. When we get hooked, we're trying to cover up some kind of pain. So me feeling like I was just a piece of shit, or excuse me, that's how I can explain it, but that I was a nobody is when I got high, I was somebody, because I could be anybody I wanted to be. So as I met people, I made up my own past. I told them my parents died in a car accident. I told them I had brothers and sisters that died, and this is why I'm sitting in a dependent unit or orphanage. So as the years progressed, I started believing this, and I started really thinking this, and I finally got put in a foster home. I was probably about 9 or 10 years old, and the guy that family that kept me, for probably till I was about 11 and a half, 12, he molested me. So that went on to even progress the pain more, so I bottled it up. I thought that was kind of normal, so I grew up thinking that kind of stuff was normal. That's how somebody showed you how much they love you. So then when I started, finding out about women and girls, and I went crazy. There was another addiction. So everything I put in front of me, I got addicted to. And so women, that's how I felt like I belonged, is I chased the women. But the drugs kept on, and that made me feel, and it was almost like I was watching TV 24 hours a day, because I could just put myself in that area, and that's where I told myself that's what I was going to be. That's where I come from, that's me, and it changed throughout the years. Then I guess probably 15 or 16 years old, for some reason my size just sprouted, and I wasn't this little fat little kid no more, and I'd grown and I got big. And I remember the first time that I stood up and I hit somebody, and there was another drug. And violence to me was like, that was the best drug I've ever had. It was better than any pipe I stuck in my mouth. It was better than any needle. It was better than anything that I could put in my body was violence. And so that just took off, something else. And so as I got older, I started thinking, I'll just, whatever's happening in the area I'm at, once I started getting in trouble and the cops started getting to know my first name, I would run. And so I got used to running. For 25 years I ran. I lived in every state from the East Coast to the West Coast and back and forth. And then I even, skipped states because they know me too well there. But my whole life, till I was 30 years old, is constantly, I was either on probation, on parole, or sitting in jail. And there at 30 years old, I was facing 20 years in prison. And I thought, this has got to stop. This has really got to stop. And I thought I could do it. In between that time, I started having kids. And God blessed me with 4 beautiful daughters. And I never watched one of them grow up. They're in my life now. And I got granddaughters in my life. He ain't set no guys yet. I don't have no boys in my family. But I got a beautiful girls and granddaughters. But as it went on and on, it's just, it's constant trouble, and whatever area, whatever drugs they were doing in that area, that's what I hooked up to. And in the violence, I was the one that they would call to go collect money. And I got tired of making excuses, so what I would do, and I'm not proud of it, and I have nightmares today because of this, and I've seen every kind of counselor you can think of to get rid of the nightmares, and I'm going to be stuck with them for the rest of my life. But I got tired of going to your house and sitting with your family, and I hurt the families to get the money I was supposed to get. So what I would do is just walk up to you and just knock you out and wait till you wake up, and then I'd take what was in your pockets. And these are things I talk about for the simple reason is that's why I can do today what I do, and that's not me no more, definitely. But see, now what I can do, and I'm very spiritual. I don't consider myself a religious man, but I know my higher power is God, and I know God, brought me out of all that stuff, and He let me keep it so I can do what I do today. And it's going into the crack houses in Trenton and Philly and pulling kids out. Going to Philadelphia and pulling the young girls away from their pimps and prostituting. You know, we got a young girl I pulled away. She was, believe it or not, she was shooting 72 bags of heroin a day. 72 bags of heroin a day. She did time at Rikers Island before she was 21 years old. We pulled her from Philly, brought her back home, took her to New York. She left there, got stuck in New York again, got back in Trenton, was involved in a bank robbery, and they finally caught her, and she did time in prison. And by the grace of God, she's clean and sober next month for a year, living in a woman's home. These are the things I want. These are the things I try to be. I sit down now and I look at these young kids, and most of them are young. Most of the people I deal with are between the ages of 18 and 26. We do get some that are younger, we get some that are older, but that's the majority. And when I sit across from them at the table and I see the pain in their eyes, and I literally start feeling it, I go back 6, 7 years ago, and I remember what they went through. And so I made a promise, you know, that I'm going to try at first I tried to save them, and it was killing me because I'd go home at night, be honest with you, you know, I know it probably ain't so macho to talk about crying, but I go home every night and cry because I'm not doing that. I'm not saving nobody, but that ain't my job, you know. All I'm supposed to do is try to help them and guide them, and just like they done to me when I first got clean. You know, hopefully they'll take a little bit of it. But now what I do is the intervention. City of Angels is an awesome organization. I did go, there was 4 or 5 of us that went and got certified for the state of New Jersey as interventionists. I go through any kind of training that would help benefit this disease to help it. Now mostly what I do is I do most of our interventions, meeting with the families. Bill talked about a lot of that, and I'm telling you, sometimes the parents are sicker than the kids. Because, you know, we buried 12 kids in the last 2 years, all under the age of 26 years old and all under less than just a couple bags or a couple pills. They didn't do a lot to OD. They just got that one bad bag. And we buried 12 kids that we have. And I know a lot more than that has died in the last couple of years, but that's the families that we've dealt with. And I'm tired of going to a parent at a funeral and hugging them and telling them, you know, it wasn't your fault, you didn't. And human nature, you're going to blame yourself. And what we're trying to explain is it's not their fault. You know, we all have self-will. I had a mother last night that told me she's got 7 kids, and all 7 of her kids are drug addicts or alcoholics. She goes, why did God give me 7 drug addicts and alcoholics? And, you know, I tried to explain to her, it wasn't, God gave you 7 beautiful kids, plain and simple. We all have our own will. We make our decisions. They made the decision to become a drug addict. They made the decision to stick that needle in their arm or start popping them pills. It was their choice. You know, I got every choice right now. I can leave here tonight and go sit in the bar and pick up a little honey and say, you know what, nobody's ever going to know. I'll go out of town and do it. Nobody ever know. You know, it's my choice to do it. You know, just like it's the kids' choices tonight when they go to them parties. And that's a true story. That's what they do is they steal their parents or their grandparents' pills. They dump them all in a big salad bowl. And when you walk in, that's what they do is they take a couple, whatever they pick out of there. And what hurts the most is when they're ODing and their friends they're scared to call the cops. Nobody knows what they're taking, you know. And you're trying to save their life and take a blood test to find out what's in their system, and before long, then we lose them, you know. With City of Angels now, it's like, you know, we're nonprofit, so everything we do is volunteer. But every one of us are involved in it for a reason. There's a few of us that are actually in recovery. Most of them are parents that either lost a child to this disease, had a child that's now in a program, or a child that's trying to get clean. And the biggest problem we have is letting the parent finally letting go. You know, and what I do and what I found that helps is just, we don't tell you to stop loving them. We just tell you to walk away from them. Turn your back and walk away. I don't like to say hit bottom because what am I going to do if I tell them to do that? They hit bottom and they die. We assure them that and I tell them, I'm getting harder and harder with this because it's not something to mess around with. And I tell them straight up, I said, look, I tell you right now that I'll help your child no matter what it takes. And I've proven it. I don't do it to take my own recognition. I do it because I'm tired of, because there's 2 kinds of addicts. There's a dope fiend And I've only met a few dope fiends in my life, and a dope fiend is just somebody that gets high because they love to get high. There's nothing they love more. But they can manage it, anything that goes on. And then there's, like most 98% of us are just plain drug addicts. We're getting high because we're trying to cover up some kind of pain. And what's happening is we're sending these kids to treatment, and they're coming home and they're going into the program like they need, but they're not going and seeking the counseling to take care of the problem that got them started doing the drugs, which most of us is some kind of pain. For me, it was the orphanages and the foster homes and the molestation. I'm finding more of our girls, and I've got a couple kids, young men that I work with, and I'm finding most of our girls is because of some sort of rape. They haven't told their parents about it. They don't want to talk about it. You know, this is what we need is people, that kids that you can get in and relate to them and get them to trust you so they open up, because if you don't start talking about this pain that you're going through, you're going to go back out and get high, because I'm telling you the truth, is getting clean and going to meetings and working a program definitely helps, but it's not going to take care of the pain. We need to find the source of that. We need to find out why it is that you're hurting so bad that the drug, I'm telling you for a while, the drug does take care of it, because what it does is it numbs you. You don't think about none of your responsibilities. You don't think about nothing going on in your life. But after a while, and I used for 34 years, and I'm not talking just on weekends, I'm talking full force. For 34 years, I stayed out in this addiction. I didn't get clean till I was 42 years old. You know, and it wasn't doing no good no more. The pain, I could do mounds and mounds of whatever I put in front of me, and I would still. It's not just bad stuff, because we got some kids I work with that we call, they're overachievers. You know, they're kids that have the perfect life. They went to high school. They were top, you know, quarterback of the football team or head cheerleader. Everything went great for them. They go to college. Next thing you know, they can't do what they used to do, and everybody expects so much out of them. There's a different kind of pain right there. You know, so it's not necessarily dirt bags or scumbags like I was. It's not necessarily homeless people. It's all over the place. It's rich people, it's poor, you know, it's old and young. It don't matter. This disease does not care. It's not prejudiced in no ways. All it wants to do is make you suffer. You know, with City of Angels, the neat thing about it is watching the kids when they finally start getting it. You know, and then it's hard when you start seeing them fall back too. But right now we got a group of kids now that probably 4 or 5 strong that really get it, really look like they got it, and they're really trying. And last year we had a group of like 7 or 8 that, man, I was excited. I'm thinking, man, you're finally doing something right. And I forgot that I messed up when I said that, because I think I was doing something right. I just felt like I was guiding them right. We were doing everything we were supposed to do, and within 5 days, out of them 7 or 8 kids, 6 of them relapsed. All in the same week. It just dropped off left and right. By the grace of God, none of them died, you know. I think now it's just like this stuff is we learn as we go. I never tell nobody I'm a professional. I don't have nothing against the letters behind last name, but I have no letters coming behind my last name. But I have my experience, my strength, and my hope. And what I tell them is I'm another head to put in a circle to try to figure out what's the best thing to help save your child, you know. And the kids, I can, you know, I tried to clean cut and it wasn't working. The kids relate to me better now. So, you know, from time to time you might see me with green hair or something, or, you know, whatever it takes to get to these young people and say, look, you know, I know what you're feeling. You know, I'm not a doctor, but, you know, I lived it. And you ain't going to bullshit me. There's nothing that you're going to try to pull over my eyes. You might lie to your parent, get them to believe it. I try to get the parents just to walk away. Let me be kind of almost like a surrogate parent, you know, but we will be there. And the people that work with City of Angels and Bill, we're there. When we say we're going to be there, but, you know, if you don't let go of your child and let us do what we know, I'm not going to say it's a waste of time, because we do plant a seed and then sooner or later they'll come back. But, you know, I don't know. I definitely know this field, that we definitely need people. And, you know, I could really commend you guys if this is for drug and alcohol abuse, right? I am in the right classes. What I'm saying is, you know, I really commend you guys for doing this, you know, and I'm going to be straight up honest, it's hard. It's definitely hard to get involved in something like this, because, you know, it definitely comes from the heart. It definitely got to.